You want me to weigh you?
I think you should pull your pants down.
Hey, you snot rags, and welcome back to another episode of 90 Day Fiancé. This week is episode 6, and I'm finally caught up with the episodes.
That was a lie.
So let's see how quickly I can get this out. Now we're gonna start off with Shekinah and Sarper. And in last week's episode, Sarper just arrived at her apartment. He sees it's incredibly tiny. Now he's getting all these rules, so things aren't going that great for them. But Sarper starts showing him upstairs where they're actually going to be living, and it's incredibly tiny. It's one little room with a bed in it, a little table, and a tiny, tiny bathroom. And to top it all off, the toilet doesn't even have a bidet on it. And Sarper's like, I've gone 45 years with a bidet, and now you're taking it away from me. So now they have to install a bidet, but Shekinah is talking like she doesn't even want to do that.
Can we put, is there a possibility?
I mean, I guess we could install one. Is it that important to you?
And Sarper's like, listen, we just got to the U.S. and now you're acting like a dictator. Like, you gotta give me something. This is our home. But Sarper does surprise him with a little gift. In a corner of his house, he would like to scratch his back like a bear. So she's like, that ain't happening in my house. I don't want any dingy corners. So she gives him a back scratcher for a home present. But she kind of goes on to explain to Sarper that she did not tell him about her clients because she just wanted him to get through the visa part, all the stressful part, and then he would figure that out later. Which, again, horrible goddamn idea. Why she did that was that was just so messed up of her. And he's like, I wish you would have just told me before I got down here. And she's like, yeah, no. I just wanted to tell you when you got here. You're all right. But not much he could do other than go home. But he is willing to stay and see how things go. They wake up the next day and they're about to head off to the beach. And Sarper is so excited because he has a Baywatch fantasy. Baywatch is what actually got him into working out. When he was a teenager, he was on the heavier side. He got bullied, but then he found Baywatch and he's like, oh, this is everything. And thanks Baywatch for giving him 2,500 plus women under his belt, which is absolutely disgusting. That is just way too goddamn many women. Too many people. But he credits Baywatch to who he is today, and it's so cute because the producers gave him a little Baywatch intro thing. But Sarper is just totally obsessed with the beach now, and he asked Shekinah, well, when I have to leave with your clients, can I just hang out here? Like, this is a cool place. And Shekinah tells him no, that he has to just walk around the neighborhood and get to know the neighborhood because she still has trust issues with him. Apparently he's never cheated or anything like that. It's just that with his past, she doesn't trust him. You knew this man's past before you got with him, and now you're gonna sit here and have trust issues with him because of stuff that he did in his past. He didn't cheat on you or anything like that. You see a man that's a manho and then you take him out of that manhoidity and then you're like, oh, is he still a man? Like, you decided to be with a person that was with 2,500 women. You can't put that on him. You want to dictate what happens in your house. You're trying to dictate the whole goddamn country and tell him he can't go where he wants to go. This isn't, I don't think this is gonna work. Knowing them, it's probably gonna work the relationship wise, but it just doesn't seem okay. But he goes on to say, if you can't trust me and you keep trying to control me, I'm gonna destroy this whole goddamn planet and I'm gonna go back home. Now we get back to Mark and Mina just uninvited Jordan to the wedding and she's walking off calling her a snake. So Jordan goes over to Mark and is like, let's go, get over here, we gotta talk. And again with this conversation, Jordan is just making herself look worse and worse. But Jordan goes on to tell Mark that she was uninvited from the wedding, and honestly she's cool with that. She does not care. And again goes on to state her side about the whole kids thing, him having more kids, and says if they decide to have one more kid, she ain't gonna be around him. And again, it is not her damn choice if he wants to have kids or not. Like, for you to be like, I'm just gonna disown you as my father if you go on and live your life. Like, girl, you can tell he has spoiled her freaking rotten now that she thinks like she's basically the head of the family. But Mark goes on to tell her that he is not choosing between them, that he can't do that. And Jordan tells him that he's just looking past all these red flags. But Mark just says, listen, you're gonna come to this wedding, and if Mina has a problem with it, then they just won't get married.
I think you're lying.
And for real, I am calling cap right now, because Mina's off to the side being like, I lost everything on my family and even Clayton, my own son. But didn't she said she was gonna call off the wedding if Clayton couldn't get down here. So I feel like no matter what's happening, y'all is gonna get married, whether her kid gets down here or whether Jordan and Mina fix it. But Jordan goes on to explain what she's been explaining this whole time, that she would just be comfortable if he was with somebody older and that she lived in the US. So he's like, what do you want me to do? Leave her and go be with an old person? And she's like, no, just stop having kids. Which again, girl, that is not your decision. And it's so foul of you that you're ready to just disown your dad like that because he wants to live his life. And he's like, all you're trying to do is just control my life. Don't do that. And she straight up is like, you could do what you want. You could do whatever you want. But if you don't do what I want, don't expect me to be around. So, deuces. So Mark takes the girls back to the hotel and he just apologizes and says he wish he never said anything. But now that he's made a mess, they both have to fix it. And again, after all of what's going on, it's only been like a few days. It doesn't sound like they need to get married. Nothing is lining up right now. But Mina's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going back home tomorrow. And he's like, why would you leave? You still need to meet the family. Like, I just need you to try. And Mina's all, she keeps saying it. She keeps saying that she's been trying. She's been trying. She's been trying. She met the family one time and she was late.
Anyway, so
the only person I could see you trying with is maybe Jordan, but you guys didn't try. Y'all just been talking shit about each other to this man. Like, that's it. You haven't been trying. And she's like crying and feeling overwhelmed and yada yada. It is like, girl, you haven't been trying shit. Like, this family does not know you and you have not tried to know this family. What you've tried to do is separate Mark from his family so he can start a whole new family with you. But she goes on to say she's just so overwhelmed and that all of this, getting to know her family, is too much work for her. But she want another kid. Like, that's not gonna be work. Now we go over to the throuple and they're waking up and they still have some tension between them. You remember Matt and Anie in last week's episode decided to get her done with just each other. So Amani is still very upset about that situation. But Matt is confused. He's like, none of this was a secret. We weren't hiding it at all. We are all in a relationship. And Amani's like, yeah, it wasn't a secret, but you still should have told me. But she tells them not to feel bad, but what had happened was literally her worst nightmare. Your worst nightmare is your man to sleep around with some woman, yet you want a woman to come in your relationship so she could sleep around with your man.
When you hear yourself say that, does that sound like it makes sense? Does it sound like it makes sense?
But Amani goes on to say that they have been married for 10 years and they have all these problems built up and now they're adding in an extra person. So things might not go well. But they get all dressed up and they decide to go on a little picnic. And Matt brings up that they might be having some issues because there's no guidelines set in place. He doesn't know what he can and can't do. So they decide to go ahead and set up some rules. And Amani assures Anie that the rules aren't just for them as a married couple trying to bring somebody in. It's for all of them. It's for all of them to respect and love each other. And Anie and Matt's rules were more for like the relationship stability. Anie goes on to say that whole cliche, let's not go to sleep angry. We could fight all night, but we just don't go to bed angry. And Matt goes on to say, well, I'm the one man out now, literally. So when we are all having a conversation, I think each one of us needs to take a turn so everybody can speak. And now Amani goes the whole jealousy route, which I mean, I guess go ahead and put it on the table so everybody knows. But she's like, there ain't no effing around without somebody speaking up. Like, you have to ask me first. And again, I want to know if Amani has to ask Anie about Matt, because they flip it around and Amani's like, and I'll even ask you, Matt, if I want to sleep with Anie. And he's like, don't even worry about it. Have fun. I'm giving you permission right now for the rest of your life to do it. So I wonder if Amani and Matt have to give the same courtesy to Anie, or if she's just saying like, Anie, if you want to be with my man, you gotta ask. Because if so, this just doesn't feel like an actual throuple going on. This sounds like a couple trying to bring in an accessory. But with that all out of the way, now the only thing that they have to worry about is Anie telling her family the truth about Amani. Now we move on to Sean and Aaliyah, and we see Sean in his house cleaning the house from top to bottom, and he goes on to explain that Aaliyah was a nurse back in Brazil, and on top of all of that, she is a germaphobe. So like literally every little thing, she's got a problem with all the dirts and the germs. So he's like, I gotta clean. I don't think it's gonna be clean enough, but I gotta clean. Now we go over to Aaliyah, and she's in the plane and she lands, and at first I was like, is she gonna land and get in an Uber? Like, where is Sean at? But apparently she had to land in Panama and had to stay there for 13 hours after an already 8-hour flight. Like, god dang. But she finally lands in America. But Sean and Aaliyah head out and they get home. And Aaliyah is just mesmerized by LA. She loves all the houses. But they pull up on his house and she's like, are we living in a medieval home? What is this place? But he just explains he has a very eclectic taste. But she's going in and she's like, it's very beautiful, but it's a bit overwhelming. Like everywhere she looks, there's something new. There's like not a single blank wall anywhere. She's looking in one area and there's literally a dinosaur looking down on her. And then she goes into the bedroom and there's like a little baby clown swinging from a swing over the bed. And she's like, there's just too much going on in this house. Now night rolls around and they decide to head out and get comfortable. And they start conversating about, you know, get a little freaky deaky tonight. And he brings up getting an STD test. And that kind of like, I was like, wait, what the? But it turns out they decided to agree to have an open relationship since they are separated. They didn't have, you know, very much time with each other. The loneliness will build up. And it turns out he recommended the open relationship, not her. She did not want that. She wanted to be completely monogamous, but he was like, it's either this or it's nothing. So she asks him, now that I'm here and, you know, you're not going to be so lonely, can we just go ahead and stop the open relationship? Which you'd think would be like, oh yeah, of course, because that's the whole reason we opened it. But this guy's like, we'll talk about that in a couple days. We don't need to talk about that right now. What do you need to talk about? All you got to do is like, no, we don't have to do that anymore because we were only doing it because I was lonely. But now I'm not lonely. But of course, Aaliyah's not very happy with that answer. Now she's wondering, did he want the open relationship because he was lonely? Or is he actually just really struggling with me being Aaliyah? Which I think she was absolutely right, because in his talking head, he goes on to say how everything is different now, that he didn't sign up for any of this. And it's like, you kind of did though, because Aaliyah has been Aaliyah. Now they wake up the next morning and I am so happy to see that pupperoonie in the bed with them. But that day they decide to go out on a hike, but she goes ahead and talks to him about her basically being hidden, how his family doesn't know. And he's like, well, some of my family and some of my friends know, but she's still wondering like, why won't he tell his kids? And he just goes on to explain like, I just didn't want to have to hear the bull crap. I didn't want to deal with all the drama. So I would rather just show you off and then just deal with it then. And goes on to say, if they didn't have to go through this whole process and anybody could just live in any country that they wanted, he probably wouldn't even be getting married. And I do not think that is what she wanted to hear. She goes on to say that's something that she's always wanted. It's been a dream for her to get married. So now she's confused and she doesn't know what she's gonna do. So she asks, if we did not need to get married, would you even be marrying me right now? And again, he's like, I don't even want to get married. So she's like, if he doesn't change his mind by that time, then I'm not getting married. And again, they spoiled it for us. She at least didn't go to the wedding, so there was no way he was gonna change his mind on that in 90 days. I'm pretty sure he's set in stone. He doesn't care about getting married. Now we go over to Stevie and Maddie and we see Stevie picking up Maddie, and he gets in the car and he's covering up his face. He looks so embarrassed, and then he pulls down his hand to see that he got a fresh lineup. Now me personally, I didn't think it looked too bad. I definitely think they should have left some more hair, but he was tweaking about it. They were supposed to head to a coffee shop and he's like, hell no, I'm not going out like this. So they go home for Stevie to go ahead and paint the rest of the beard on his face. But after that, they go ahead and head to the coffee shop, and Stevie lets Maddie know that she talked to her dad's wife about what he said about him missing his parents and wanting to go back. And he's not very happy that she said anything. And he's like, why would you say that? I wish you wouldn't have said anything. And she's like, well, I wish you wouldn't have told me anything either. And it's like, your mans can't share his feelings with you? I don't think he was straight up being like, I'm about to get out of here. Like, he was just telling you how much he missed his family, and she's taking it so badly. So he's like, well, F it. Let me tell you some more stuff you can run off and tell her about. I am missing my family more now than I did the first day. And no, I'm not going back home. I don't feel like running back, but if I could go see them, I would love to go see them. And she takes offense to that too. She's like, oh, now you want to see your parents? And just rubs the dirt into his wounds and is like, well, listen, you can't go back. There's no way for you to go back. So are you just going to keep missing your family, or are you going to marry me? And it's like the things that are like, you can miss your family. He can have these feelings. But he goes on to share some more of his feelings, which I wish he should have kept this on lockdown because she's already upset. But he's like, before I even got to America, I was thinking like, if we didn't work out, I would have stayed in America, but I just miss my family so much. I would definitely go back. And now Stevie is questioning the whole relationship because he's had some feelings. So she goes on to tell them that she does not like his feelings, what he's thinking, and that she would have moved anywhere to be with him. And he goes on just to try to reassure, and it was like, it's just a passing thought, you know. Those thoughts go into everybody's head in a relationship. Like, this may not work. What happens, especially if you're leaving a whole ass country, you have to think about those things. And he's like, it's just a passing thought. And she's like, well, I never thought those things. That's because you didn't have to leave your country and your family and everything behind. You didn't have any of those thoughts because you didn't have to. So are you telling me that if you left your country, left your dad, left everybody behind, you wouldn't miss your family or want to speak to your fiance about missing? Like,
that's weird.
She just wants him to be like, I'm ready to marry you and leave all my family behind. I'll never think about them ever again. You're everything. Like, that is crazy. And even she says, I'm not hearing anything other than, what if we don't work out? And it's like, that's your problem. You're not hearing what he's actually trying to tell you. And he's trying to tell you he misses his family, and you should be that one person there helping, supporting him. And yet you're just dogging this guy for missing his family. And she goes on to tell him, I'm not marrying you unless this is a forever thing. And he goes on to say, I don't want you to make a big deal out of my feelings and my thoughts. And she's like, well, your feelings and your thoughts are a big deal. And saying that you would just come here and leave me and stay here in America is disgusting.
Are you saying you would come and then stay? That disgusts me if we break up.
I didn't say that.
Well, then how did you say it?
I just said it was just a thought.
Okay, don't think it.
I'm tired of suffering. I'm tired of suffering.
Now we move on to the people we really been waiting for, Greg and Joan. Greg and Joan are driving around, they're going to the beach, and they have 87 days to wed. And Joan is just happy that she's able to get away from his mom. It's only been a few days and she's like, thank God I am out of that house. And this guy, he's like, so it's been another night. Why didn't we get it in last night? Maybe because your mother is outside the door. So she's like, listen, when are we gonna get our house? You haven't said anything about a timeline. What's going on? And this guy's like, give me 1 to 2 years, baby, I got this. And she's like, I was thinking more like 6 months. If I knew everything that was happening down here, I would have never came here. I would have reconsidered my decision. But he goes on to say that he is just saving up to get his own home, which you're at 35 years old. You've been living with your mom for 35 years and you still don't have money to put a down payment on a house. Where is all your money? But Greg goes on to explain to Joan that he's in debt from all the tickets, the visas, the traveling and all that. How are you in debt? You are not paying any bills at all whatsoever, nothing. You live with your mom, you're 35. How are you in debt? And that he's thousands of dollars in debt on top of that. And Joan did not know that he was that much in debt. And this is one thing that I feel like comes up a lot when it comes to the non-American. They have a very skewed vision of Americans, thinking that we're all very stable, we got it together, we got money in the bank, and that is not it at all. Honey, I got 27 cents in my account right now. So she goes on to ask, how are you even gonna pay for this wedding if you're in debt? And this dude is like, don't worry about it, future Greg got you, baby. And he goes on to explain the wedding should be easy. They could save so much money here and there, like the food thing. They could just go ahead and make all the food. And she's like, listen, out of everything, I better at least get a nice wedding dress. We could spend a couple $100s on a wedding dress. I swear to God, I will fight you, Greg. And goes on to say that he's gonna handle it. He's got a whole bunch of stuff lined up. He does say he has some job interviews lined up. Is it as good as that state job that he could have gotten? I don't know, but he better take whatever goddamn job he can get. And Joan, again, for the 100th time, she's like, I don't know what I got myself into. I should have checked out the situation, but if nothing changes, I'm leaving. Now they skip 5 days ahead and they only have 82 days left to wed. They're getting ready to go out to meet Greg's best friends, John and John. And that's not the only Johns that are in his life. This boy got 20 other Johns. The repair John, the uncle John, the cousin John, the best friend John, the baker John, the toilet John, the everything, all the Johns. He has so many Johns in his life. He's like, be prepared. But they get to this restaurant and his friends arrive. They introduce themselves. And this John, his friend John, he was asking all the right questions, and this man is a real one. He's holding his friend accountable. But he goes on to say that him and John have been friends forever, since they've been kids. That Greg has always been the jokester and even won prom king in high school. But then goes on to say he's not entirely sure if that was because he was popular or if that was just a whole joke. But he does say that he jokes a lot and that he uses humor and stuff to deflect what's going on in his real life, which we see all the dang time. But John is very talkative. He asks her how she's feeling, how she likes his mom, how long she wants to stay in the house and everything. And she shortened that time from 6 months to 3 months. She's like, them 5 days, I need less time here. So his friend calls him out. He's like, what are you doing, man? You're about to have a wife. What, you need to get on the ball. And freaking Greg brings up the whole bakery shenanigans thing again. He's like, nah, man, baking is my life. That's my dream. Nobody said anything about baking. We're talking about a roof over your head. A dude even calls him out. He's like, we're not talking about your dreams right now. Your dreams need to be on the back burner of a house. You can have dreams all goddamn day long, but if you ain't got a roof over your head, them dreams probably won't even come true. And points out, like, listen, you're in debt and your mom definitely ain't rich, so you're not on no trust fund, baby. You can't just do what you want. You have to figure it out. You literally brought a whole woman out of her country down here and you're still living with your mama. He goes on to be like, man, fuck these guys. They don't see how hard I work, how much work I've put into this relationship. They haven't seen all the money I spent and all the debt that I put myself into trying to go to Uganda to see this woman. And I'm pretty sure she probably would have been happier if you told her straight up, hey, I'm living with my mom. I can't come to see you. I'm gonna spend this money on a house. She probably would have been happier. But John is like, all right, so what's the end game here? Where are we getting at? What do you want to do? And he's like, I want to live in a beautiful house and have as many kids as she wants to give me. And she's like, I'm only giving you 2. That's tops. He's like, man, I wish I could have 10.
What? What?
You do not need any kids because you're almost 40 still living with your mom, riding on a high of a bakery dream. No, I'm not saying people can't have their dreams, and I'm not gonna say people can't live with their mamas. You can do whatever the hell you want, but
Today, Junior?
the events that are happening right now, you can't do either one of those. I'm sorry. But as they all sit at that table, Greg is so serious and so sad, but they are all laughing at him. Not laughing with him, at him.
Have land in Uganda, I come here in America, have nothing like a house. I have to stay in his mother's household. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot. I wouldn't want to live with my mother-in-law.
And that was the end of this week's episode. And now I was going to try to record the last resort after this video, but my throat is dunsies for. I've eaten like 20 cough drops. But just like John is second guessing Greg and Joan's relationship, in next week's episode, it seems like everybody else is second guessing their own relationship.
I don't know how he's going to pay for the dowry because he's not financially stable.
Tell him to get a job.
The dowry I told you about gets 15 cows.
Realistically, though, how does somebody afford 15 cows?
It's not like people can't afford it. It's just you don't get a job. I want to go back to Uganda.
What'd you just say?
I'm hurry because Jordan talked bull and the family.
Have you guys talked anymore about a prenup?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You think I come just for your money, Mark? You too? I finished this conference and I'm gone.
Sarper, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't believe in your relationship. I think that I would be a better guy to be with.
What the That French baguette, he's non-stop talking.
You better not want to have problems with me, for sure.
Really?
Now, if you guys didn't mind me sounding like one big nose, might as well go ahead and hit that like and subscribe because hopefully I won't sound like one big nose here in a couple of days. But as always, thank you guys for coming and watching. It's always appreciated. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye.